talk.
We're gonna talk.
Gonna talk.
Oh yeah.
It's time to talk.
It's time to talk.
Yeah.
Hello, and welcome to Let's Just Talk. We're back again. This time, Ferret's decided not to social distance away from his computer screen. So we're all here.
Hi. Hey guys. Sorry about that.
As always, you guys can talk in the chat as we go along, and we'll be involving your conversation in with everything. But if you do have a big question you want us to read out, it's not too late to send an email to let'sjusttalk@yahoo.com. But as always, we also have a special guest. So our special guest today is, if it loads, Mark.
Hello.
Hey Mark.
It's me, the big
in the
floating head.
It's you.
In the flesh, obviously.
yeah, clearly.
Oh,
Maybe it's
Jesus.
not me.
Oh my god. Sometimes I've watched your streams, you've never done that.
that's just for the weekends.
Oh, okay. Alright, well, just to keep the conversation flowing, I'm going to go straight into our first topic. So, for those who are watching,
Yes.
This is the news clip on the first topic.
It looks like a London transit worker is about to start his day cleaning the tube. But by the time he's finished, passengers will be boarding an art exhibit. Banksy strikes again. This time he took his meaningful art to the subway system to encourage people to wear face masks to help stem the spread of the coronavirus. In his own way, of course. The man disguised as a cleaner decorates a train car with rats that aren't properly wearing face masks. Other rats are using theirs as parachutes. An unsuspecting passenger starts to catch on that this cleaner isn't doing the best job. But by the time rush hour strikes, the mysterious artist has taken off, leaving everyone a surprise reminder to protect themselves and others from the coronavirus. While the virus may have knocked the world down, it will get up again. For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Mara Montalbano.
So, yeah, Banksy has decided to go onto a London Underground train and make an entire sort of art exhibit, I suppose, based upon the coronavirus. So, graffitiing, yes or no, whether it's the right thing to do, that's the whole sort of iffy bit about that. But what do people think?
Honestly, well, it's one of those things where Banksy just does what he needs to do sometimes, and sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he just does it because he wants to. But I think at this point, it's kind of needed, considering there's still people out there who are, just ignoring the whole suggestion of wearing masks more often to hold back the whole the coronavirus outbreak. But I don't know. To do it on a tube, I don't know.
I mean, is it just become a law in England that you now have to wear a mask? I know it's been a while in Scotland for you, but
yeah, we've been a while, but I think England's just passed it, but it's not come in force yet.
Not to mention, Wales still hasn't got a law for that, by the way. I just want to point that one out. I'm trying to Google it, find it. But personally...
Which is surprising, because you guys have been doing quite well with it. Your response has been good.
Our one has literally been, we are not opening up for anything, and then as soon as they said, oh, by the way, let's, do something about wear masks, they went, we can get to that later. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Because
it's annoying.
To credit Mark Drayford, who was the First Minister of Wales, if people didn't know, there was this beautiful interview with a BBC News presenter where basically they sat there and said, look, well, England's opened all this up and stuff. Why don't you think it's right to follow suit? And they said, well, why aren't they following us? And I was like, go Mark.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Like it.
England masks. I'm trying to find it. England masks on public transport. Because it's 15th of June. So yeah, 2 days ago, it became a legal requirement for people in England to wear masks in public transport. So, and he did this 2 days ago as well, didn't he? So I'm guessing it was in response to that, which means maybe it's just
to encourage it more.
I mean,
I'm trying to remember.
Rat did it beautifully. The sneezing rat on the windshield.
Oh, you see
Yeah.
that article, the way he sprayed it just perfectly. But I don't. Banksy's peculiar. The way that he does things is obviously very guerrilla art. You know, it'll just turn up overnight.
Yeah.
Doing it in the train, do you think knowing that it was going to get cleaned off was part of it?
I mean, he doesn't.
Like you never know what's intentional and what isn't, don't you?
But he doesn't matter if his art gets destroyed, and he's made that perfectly clear because he had that
The shredder.
the shredder in the painting. Do you know about this, Luke? Because you look confused.
Yeah.
Okay,
I know about that.
So, for those who don't know, he made I can't remember what the painting was about, but he made a painting, had it in this frame. It was sold, and the moment it was sold in auction, it shredded itself.
Yeah, I think it was like it was an art piece. To explain it even further, it was like an art piece of a girl trying to reach out for a red balloon.
Yeah, very famous one.
Yeah, it was a very, very famous one, and they just shredded it. I remember seeing that, just thinking, "Oh, okay, that fair enough."
I can imagine if you were the person that's just bought it, you've spent millions of pounds on this, and it's getting shredded in front of your eyes.
With the idea of the Tate modern art stuff, wouldn't it just increase in value after doing that?
Oh, probably. And I think for the photos I saw, it only kind of went half through, so it was left tattered, hanging out the bottom. But for that moment that you see that shredder kicking off and it starts to eat the picture, your heart would be in your mouth.
Oh, bless.
There was also a point where Banksy actually did a like a theme park type thing. Did any of you remember that?
A little bit political, and it was really, really kind of crap, but deliberately.
It was deliberately crap, but it was one of those things where it was basically sort of taking the piss out of like Disney World.
Yeah, it's called Dismaland. There it is.
Yeah, Dismaland. That's what it was called. I remember doing research on that for something back when I was in college doing art and design, and I remember just seeing the videos for that and some of the pieces that he did on there, which for once aren't like spray paints and graffiti. They were actually like fully like giant scale sort of sculptures. I'm pretty sure there was like one sculpture that sticks out in my mind is like
the one that keeps coming up on
it was Cinderella's. It was Cinderella's carriage. And basically, Cinderella's just slumped out of the window, and there's like traffic tape, like police tape, the whole lot, and like
obviously
a load of cameras flashing off.
I mean, I'm looking at pictures now. There's in the middle of one of the pools. There's a riot van for some weird reason, police riot van. The Little Mermaid's got 3 faces for some weird reason.
I don't remember seeing that. I don't think I saw that.
There's a killer whale jumping out of a toilet.
I remember that one. I remember that bit.
Do you know? It's the weird thing is, why is Banksy an artist? And the reason I ask this is because everybody has seen graffiti throughout their entire life. Let's face it, there's nowhere you can go in the world that doesn't have graffiti somewhere. And I know Banksy's got his leftist views, which allow him to sort of express something more of it. But what made someone go, do you know what? That is now a work of art, and that is now going to be Banksy's like. Because it's gotten to the point if Banksy spray, obviously this is an exception, but if Banksy spray paints something, people go, oh, leave it up. Whereas if it was anyone else, it'd be like, get that thing off my wall.
I don't know. I guess
I don't know.
You could probably do the same about any bit of art, really. You know, like at what point is somebody a successful artist? And maybe it's that kind of self-fulfilling thing where somebody says he's successful, so he's then successful, so his stuff has to stay up, which makes him more successful. Whereas Joe, who comes along and spray paints it in the middle of the night, is arrested for it instead.
Yeah, but can you imagine if, like, I wonder if that's a good defense. Like, you caught spray painting, the police come up to you and go, "No, it's all right, I'm Banksy." And they're like, "All right, don't worry about it then. Have a good day."
Somebody has to have tried that. That'd be perfect.
Surely.
There was actually some fake news going around at one point, like a few years back, saying that he was arrested, but it turned out to be like completely fake, and someone just like just made it up, and then it caught on like wildfire, and then just like other news outlets were like showing this off. I can't remember who exposed it as fake, but there was a point later on saying that the entire news was fake, and for some reason, just someone was just trying to get attention for that.
If people can take advantage, they will. It's how
Yeah, I remember.
work.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, thinking, "Whoa, wait, really? He's been arrested? What? That can't be." For so long, and if he's been going about for so long, being anonymous and whatnot, and now he gets arrested. What? That didn't make any sense to me when that happened.
No. I mean,
I
I'm
was
just
doing a wee bit of research into it, and it was a Glasgow Live article, and it was, did Banksy live in Glasgow? And there's a couple of wee examples for there's quite a famous old. It was a nightclub. It was
surely,
mostly
like,
infamous.
at some point, though,
But,
someone's got to sit there and go. Every time I'm on a train from Glasgow to London, there's always this guy that comes on with loads of paint, and and then the next day there's a Banksy, and I just.
He comes on with the paint, and then he never leaves with it. It's weird.
Just looking through the comments, Ree says people who have been ignoring the need for masks aren't going to change their mind because of some street art, which is fair to say, but Banksy is so influential in the UK. Like, there's anybody who hasn't heard of him. And although it probably isn't going to change people's minds, it is going to cause some sort of stir for people. Best example of that, I actually was in London when a Banksy turned up overnight, and I was lucky enough to go see it. I'm so proud of this. Basically, at the time, there were protests in France, and they were tear gassing the protesters. And Banksy had put up a painting of Cosette from Les Mis with tear gas all around her on the French embassy in London. So I went to the French embassy to have a look at it. It only stayed up for a couple of days because obviously the French embassy weren't particularly happy with the meaning behind that.
Yeah, that's quite ballsy.
Yeah, but I was lucky enough to go see it.
Yeah, but the thing is, Banksy's always been that ballsy sort of artist who it's just like no fucks given. He will do what he needs to do to spread a message across.
And
if he needs to,
messages stick. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing about Banksy. Like, some of his stuff stick out because of how ballsy it is and how much shock factor you get off it when you look at it. And that's probably why he's so influential. To so many people because of how much shock factor he gets out of his art.
Yeah. I mean,
he's probably got what he wanted out of this. People are talking about it. It ended up featured in the news. You know, if he's trying to encourage people to wear masks,
I mean, it's obvious he was the artist, and you could see physically him doing all the art on there. Obviously, he's got masks on and stuff, so because nobody knows who Banksy is. Obviously, his best mate who's holding the camera does, but he posted that on YouTube in order for people to see it. And all these news articles, all they've done is just taken the YouTube video and put it on their own. So.
Pretty much.
That's how they've got the footage, by the way. He hasn't gone up to BBC News and gone, by the way, BBC, I'm going to go and spray paint London. Do you want to come join me?
Yeah, I gathered as much. But there was points where I actually saw, when I saw it on Twitter at first, I read through some of the comments, and one of the comments that stuck out to me was, one of them was like, this is probably like one of the least impressive bits of work by Banksy, which I was like,
I don't know.
It's not supposed to be grand and like flashy. It's just supposed to spread a message. And another one said, "Oh God, all he did was use all he does is use stencils to make a spray paints." My 7-year-old could do that. I'm like, that's what most graffiti is. It's stencil artwork.
Knowing that, he makes his own stencils. Like, that is
exactly. He makes his own stencils to make the thing. It's just when I read that comment, it's like, yeah, I doubt a 7-year-old could make a perfect stencil like that of a rat sneezing. Well, let's be honest.
It's not like he runs up, puts one stencil on, quickly spray paints it, and then runs away. You know, he's positioning it. He's got a big picture in his head.
He thinks of everything where he's putting stuff. But I mean, I get that perhaps the Banksy tag that he wrote on there was a bit tacky. I suppose it's not the best piece.
A little bit.
But all the rats are just brilliant. Like, I keep looking over here because I've got a picture of it up. The rats are fantastic. Like, I love, because the idea is, from my understanding of his art is up to interpretation, but my understanding of his art is he's using rats because, as we know, one of the biggest epidemics of health that we've ever had in our lives, well, not in our lives, that's ever happened, was the Black Plague, which was spread by rats, fleas on rats specifically. So the rats represent disease and fleas and stuff like that, and then they have the masks where the rats are using it as like parachutes, and they don't know how to put it on properly, which is just trying to say you're as stupid as those rats are, basically. Like, you're spreading the disease, you are the rat. Don't be an idiot.
Someone he'd done with the rats. He basically done it during lockdown, but he did it in his own bathroom, and he'd titled it "My wife hates it when I work from home."
I didn't see that. Oh, I'm gonna find that now. Hang on. Okay,
I gotta look this up now as well.
Banksy. It's going to be a very quiet podcast for 2 minutes while we all Google it.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to keep
Yeah,
do you want to keep talking, Mark, whilst we do this?
Oh no, it's the same rats as well. It's literally the same rats.
Banksy.
Yeah, I think he's been working on that at the
Must
time.
have been doing, yeah. Oh my god.
Because that must take some amount of time to sit and cut the stems. Like the level of detail that's on them, they almost look like they've been computer laser cut or something.
The only problem
The
is
line art's part of
People
it.
will figure out who Banksy is the moment he moves out. Like, the moment he gets a new place, someone's going to walk in and go, "Who was the previous tenant, by chance?"
Yeah, before he moves out, he's going to have to get the bathroom done.
Right? Jesus Christ. And
Yeah, I can see the artwork now. He did it in his bathroom. That's cool.
Can you imagine if you got up in the middle of the night, you lift the toilet, and there's that rat staring at you there? You
Yeah, the one that's peeing in the toilet. Jesus
can just
Christ.
hear his wife screaming at him in the middle of the night.
It would have been just like, really? Really? Just,
I'm just thinking, like,
okay.
did he meet his wife previously to becoming the infamous Banksy? Or afterwards? Because if he did, there must have been a point where he was sat there at a dinner table with her, like on a nice date or something, and gone, "Just thought you should know I'm Banksy." She's gone, "Yeah, alright. No, seriously, I'm Banksy. Yeah, whatever." And then she sees that in a fucking bathroom. She goes, "She did fucking warn me. He did warn me." Jesus Christ.
You're never Banksy. I've seen you try to decorate the spare room. There is no way you're Banksy.
Yeah. Fuck.
Uh,
I bet that does get annoying every now and then. She just wakes up and there's just like another spray painting somewhere in the hallway. It's like.
Surely he must have like loads of canvases or something where he's practicing all this before he goes out and does it. Like you were saying, there must be practice put into it. So I bet they're worth a fucking fortune if you find them. Banksy works.
Oh yeah.
But he doesn't do it for money. That's the thing.
He just does it to spread a message.
Yeah. Although I'm not too sure what the message about his bathroom is, other than there's rats that live in his bathroom. Apparently, I don't know. I feel sorry for his wife.
Plot twist: he has a rat infestation in his own home, like an actual rat infestation, and not just the ones that have been painted all over his bathroom.
He's not making money from this. Is he just like an accountant or something? Like,
again, it goes back to what I said. He just does it because he can, and he
wants to make the message clear and stuff. And, yeah.
What twist? He is actually 20 rats inside a raincoat.
Yeah.
With
the major plot twist.
You can imagine if he's practicing this in the house, his wife going into work the next day, like, "Tracy, you okay? You're looking a bit out your head," and she's shot to the moon on paint fumes.
Jesus. What secret to keep as well? It's like basically like your husband is Superman. You've got to like keep that secret.
Yeah, like for instance, like someone asks his wife, he's just like, "So what did your husband do for a living?" Well, he does art.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay, cool. What kind of art? He does art. It's like, oh, okay, but what kind of art?
Something from a sitcom. Tracy, what does your husband do for a living? There's a smash cut to like Banksy painting on a wall. He's a He
decorates every now and then. Without my permission. It's okay, he livens up the place in his own special way.
But after all this, I am interested to see how many people have actually taken the whole mask thing seriously. Because not trying to say that Scotland and Wales are any better than England, but England still have very high infection rates, and they aren't really taking it all that seriously.
No.
No, it was kind of reported we did near 100% take up here after it came in force.
Yeah,
even anecdotally out and about, it's been very, very good.
I'll have to actually buy one myself, like a reusable one with filters at some point, because at the end of this month I'll be actually going back to work.
So we have masks in the house and stuff, but like they're all just like the crappy little paper ones and stuff. And I need to
I'm getting the reusable one
in several colours. Surely, like that's the only way it works.
It's got to match your outfit.
Yeah, exactly.
What one goes best with your eyes?
England is also a more dense population. It's not so much that being the issue, because when coronavirus first spread, obviously England was the worst affected, but then they got to a point where Wales was actually getting a higher rate of infections than England was. I don't know about Scotland, but I just remember this out of Wales's news. It's not so much the fact that it's a dense population, it's the fact that people have decided to take extra precautions around these areas. It's perfectly apparent when I look at my parents, because my parents are from England and they have friends from England and stuff, and their friends are talking about getting a camper van coming down here and spending the week with us, and we're all going, no.
No. No.
I know you're allowed to in terms of travelling here, and if you were part of our bubble or whatever, then technically you could, but we've outright said no. Like, if you want to come down here and have a holiday, feel free, but you're not coming anywhere near us, and we won't see you through the entire time you're here. The end. And it seems to be quite a regular occurrence when I speak to a lot of English friends and stuff, that they're sitting there going, well, it's more or less over now. Whereas
No.
when I speak to Wales and people from Wales and Scotland, it's all very much like, yeah, the pubs have opened, but well, I bought a 4-pack of Carlsberg. I'm just going to drink it at home. That seems much more sensible.
That's kind of me most nights anyway, so...
Wow, being a father's ruined you. The stress of life.
This should be Scottish, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah,
the tenants rather than Carlsberg. But...
You have to fit into the stereotype.
Mm.
How's your
Damn
iron
Scots
brew?
ruining Scotland. I could actually rant about that. Since the sugar tax came in and they took the good sugar out of it, it's just not as good.
Oh, I know, because they changed the recipe apparently. And then...
They did. And then they very cleverly, just before Christmas there, they released what was basically the old recipe but put extra charge on it. So they made a fortune off of selling the old recipe again.
Oh gosh.
I don't really drink iron brew that much anyway, so I wouldn't
I can't.
really know.
I can't drink it. I can't drink carbonated drinks.
I just don't. Me personally, I just don't. I've tried it, and I've like there's points where I've tried to give it another chance, but I'm not keen on the taste. I don't know what it is. It's just I'll try and drink it, and I'm just like, even though there's Scottish blood in me, on like one small part of family on my mum's side.
They're now ashamed of you. They are ashamed of you because
probably. It's not my fault. I've given it a chance.
No,
I'm like, I'll take it again.
It's alright. He'll head over there and try a deep fried Mars bar. It'll be fine.
They are amazing. Honestly, you would not like.
I want to
It's
try
a total
one.
cliche.
It sounds so
It is
sickly.
a total cliche, and I'd never had one. And then I went to actually quite a nice restaurant, and they had like the wee fun-size ones with ice cream for dessert.
Hang on, you said quite a nice restaurant. You're making me think that you go to a posh, fancy restaurant, and they're like, "And would like a deep fried Mars bar tonight?"
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
Just seems
sort of
so
maybe 40 quid a head restaurant, right? So better than Weatherspoons, but not quite super posh. And it was a kind of Scots themed restaurant. So like starters were haggis bonbons, things like this. But yeah, deep fried Mars bar was on the menu. I thought, you've got to try it. Never tried it, got to try it. It was amazing because the batter holds all the Mars bar in and the Mars bar all melts inside. It was...
Oh, that actually does sound nice.
I know I'm a complete cliche, but it was delicious. I never want one.
So then you got us who just eat leeks. Yeah, life's boring being in Wales. Jesus. But yeah, if, as we said, you know, it is related to politics, I think, like in the US. Like, I know certain US states have got more of a lockdown restrictions than others, and I think that is what is really helping things in certain states. Isn't New York still completely and utterly fucked, essentially?
I heard their numbers were coming down, and I think New York's New Yorkers have got this mentality about New York that they're all in it together, even though they all hate each other. It's like brothers and sisters. They hate each other, but they hate everybody else more. So I think New Yorkers have been quite hate Scottish ruin Scotland. But yeah, I think they've got they've come around now to the fact that they were the worst for a while, so now they're all trying that extra hard to make sure that they socially distance, and they've massive social distance in New York must be ridiculous because it's so populated, it's so densely populated.
I just remember them digging the mass graves out.
Yeah, it's horrible to see, isn't it? I've got family in Florida, and Florida's through the roof with it just now. And even when you're still talking to her just now, she was getting new windows put in the other day. And you're like, what you shouldn't have people anywhere near you. You know,
No.
she's an older lady. You shouldn't have people in. Oh, they were wearing masks. You're like, just don't let them in the house. It can wait.
Oh, I know.
But I need a new Windows. It's like no.
No, I'm guessing when you said new Windows, as in, oh, she just fancies having new Windows. It's not like one of her Windows is broken.
No, it's just nice new windows.
Yeah, so that's pointless, and she should have just waited it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Just wait. New Windows can wait. Your life can't.
Yep. But I get the feeling that over there, there's still bits of America that just don't see this as being. It's kind of like what you were saying, where England more generally is saying, "Oh, we're coming out the other side of this now, and we can stop worrying about it quite so much." I think Florida's still at that point where we shouldn't really be worrying about this quite so much, should we? It's not going to be a big thing.
Yeah,
Whereas the
their
numbers are just
are probably already higher than England's generally.
oh yeah.
I can find them.
Probably.
on Bing.com/COVID. Yeah, I'm using
Go on,
Bing.
tell me the numbers. Tell me the numbers.
Bing, because they have a COVID thing, which is hilarious. It's going to take a minute, so you guys just carry on talking.
Tell me the numbers, Mason.
Did you actually get the Windows done in the end, Mark?
Yeah.
Oh, for pity's sake.
I know. But yeah, it's the current situation in Florida, 311,000 positive results.
Jesus. Well, you've got that faster than I have because this laptop's slow. But
And that's
311,000,
right. So that's on.
more than
That's on Florida Health COVID-19.gov. But then you don't even know how much that's right, because there's different bits of America getting told not to report things. And I saw the other day that
Why not report it?
Oh,
People, there's no point hiding it. Everyone knows that there's infections going on, globally. There's no point hiding it.
Bing
I saw the other day that they're not supposed to report. Like all the states and hospitals were supposed to be reporting their findings to the CDC, and they've now been told not to. They've to report straight to the White House.
Before you go into,
Because that's gonna solve problems.
Before you go in too much about it, there was a hospital in Wales that was a hospital group in Wales that was accused of doing the same thing.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, our hospital group that
Why-
we have nearby was accused for doing it because they're doing badly anyway, because they've always been under
When you said the hospital, that was the first hospital that came to mind.
Of course it was. Okay, we're going to go on a rant now.
Why?
Our hospital here doesn't matter if you're from America and you have to pay for private healthcare. Our hospital's the worst, and
Yeah.
that is saying something. Like, I'm not talking particularly about the staff. I'm talking about the administrative board that can't do anything right. And
Yes.
the reason this is the case, I have gender healthcare as such. I am currently 3 years behind on it because they messed up my blood test for 3 years, showing that my levels were so high that I could die of estrogen, this thing that I've got here. Turns out not true entirely. I actually had 0 estrogen in my blood completely, and they had said that it was so high I'd actually been hospitalized twice just to make sure I didn't have some sort of tumor or something that could kill me. And that's just one thing.
It's just terrible. My sister's also been through something quite horrible in regards with this hospital. Where what was it? She was having really, really bad stomach pains to the point where she was in tears. She couldn't sleep because of the excruciating amount of pain she was in.
Familiar to something someone told me recently, but yeah, you carry on because it might be the same thing.
Long story short, when she actually got to the hospital, they made her wait for about 3 hours, even though she was in excruciating pain. And they made her wait for 3 hours before they actually managed to get her a room with a bed and everything. And she was visibly she was in pain. She was already in tears, and they made her wait for 3 hours just so she could get. In the end, she ended up getting 3 different cameras poked into her stomach just to see what was wrong. And in the end, they had to do some small surgery on. I can't remember if it was a pancreas, I think. And it's appalling. I was actually really, really pissed off when I heard about this.
It's not so much as that. Do you remember what happened around this time last year, Luke? So for the people who don't know, I am in my spare time whenever I can be, obviously not during COVID, a filmmaker. I like making films and doing things. And myself and Luke here, as well as a few other people, were actually planning to go and do a shoot in Manchester. The day before, I decided to turn in a weird direction that meant that my knee was no longer where it should be. Yeah, one of the most painful experiences of my life. But yeah, basically it came out twice. So it came out a week afterwards as well when I was trying to go up the... Sorry, Mark. When I was trying to go up the stairs.
I can see his like face just contorting. Just like
the
grimacing.
First time it happened, by the time I got to the hospital, I was already high on morphine and stuff. I was fine. Second time, they'd only given me gas and air, which, by the way, gas and air is fantastic for getting rid of pain, but it hasn't got any lasting effects. So as soon as you come off it, after about 10 minutes, you're back to normal pain. And they only give you that when you're in the ambulance. Get to the A&E, and it's a different story. And I'm sitting in A&E, well, sitting, I've got my leg up, but I'm in A&E, screaming in pain. Like, my parents keep going up to the reception desk saying, is there anything you can do? And they're like, no, it has to be seen by a doctor. We can't do anything. And I'm crying, and eventually this nurse pulls out who'd recognised me because she's a regular where I work. And she goes, oh, I know her, she'll be fine, and just grabs some oral morphine and gives me that. But, like, it's only because I knew her that happened. Otherwise, I mean, we were there for 7 hours. Like, it would have been 7 hours of being in pain.
Jesus Christ.
No sort of pain relief whatsoever. So, I managed to... It was on my birthday as well. Just want to point that one out.
Oh.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
Is healthcare devolved in Wales?
No, it's the local health board. They had some sort of money, sort of tax evasion sort of scandal about 15, 20 years ago. They've never really recovered from it. So now the higher board's still trying to keep the money and try and keep things cheaper underneath, and it causes things not to go as they should do. I mean, we've got a hospital. So our local hospital is even our local hospital isn't even finished. Like, there is no hospital that's actually completely finished being built in that bloody healthcare system. Ours feels like it is, but they took out the MRI scanner and they have it in a van, and it's been in a van for about 8 years now. So if you go for an MRI, you actually go outside of the hospital into a van, and they do the MRI in a van. As weird as that is. And every time you ask them, like, oh, why isn't this in the hospital? They're like, oh, they're building the department. They're not. But there is another hospital that's the next hospital up. I don't particularly want to give location away, but next hospital up, if you know which one I mean, Luke, and if you've ever been there, it is just a construction site. That's all it is.
I think I know which one you're referring to.
Yeah, it's been a construction site for about 10 years.
You might need to DM me it just in case I'm not knowing which one you're referring to, but I get the feeling I know which one you're referring to.
I need to try and do it on here because I can't close Discord on that without messing up things.
Move up here.
So
you guys need to move to Scotland.
It's just this area. Like my I can say where they were from because they've moved back now. But my brother and sister lived in Wrexham, and although Wrexham Miller Hospital isn't known as the pinnacle of hospitals as such, mainly because it's just a corridor. It's the weirdest hospital because I had to go there when my sister was.
I don't think I've been to that specific hospital that you've told me about.
It's just a construction site, but no, that hospital is literally just because I went there when my sister was giving birth, so we obviously tried to find our way to a maternity ward, and it's just a corridor, and there's doors on each side, and then there's a sign above them that says what they are, and it's just a long corridor. It's the weirdest thing, but it's funded, and there isn't any other problems there, and other than the usual, every now and then there is some sort of mistake that happens along the line. That's life. It happens to every hospital. Compare it to our local hospital, where I heard a story of someone who was told that they were going to die in 3 weeks. Spent all their money and stuff.
Remember this story. Yeah, remember this one.
I know the person. Well, I kind of know the person through someone else. Told they were going to die in 3 weeks. Went through the whole thing of selling off all his assets and spending the time of his life and stuff. So he was broke and he was actually in debt because he didn't tell the loan company. Because obviously, when you die, the loan disappears. He shouldn't have done, but never mind. Just to find out that about 2 weeks in, that they'd given him the wrong details and it was somebody else's information.
That is shit.
Yeah.
What can they do? Is they get any comeback about that?
Oh, I've tried. I'm sorry, but I've tried suing a hospital. Yeah, I have tried, and a lot of them just don't want to take it on. Mostly because
I remember you bringing the. I remember you bringing in the new, BBC for when you were doing the first time.
I've got too many contacts in the media.
Yeah.
it's not a bad thing to have necessarily.
No,
Um,
no.
No, like I've tried doing the sewing thing, but the issue is because all the problem isn't with an individual doctor, which is easy. It's easy to target who it is. Most of the problems are something to do with higher up on an entire department or something like that. They're not willing to really do much about it.
Mm.
It's a bit more of a difficult legal battle, apparently. Yeah, malpractice
Right,
suits more or less the same thing. I called up for, we call it medical negligence. So I called up for medical negligence. When I told them about it, the person over the phone, who they're sort of, it's weird because you call up to somebody and they say, right, I am not a lawyer, but I have a law diploma, not necessarily a degree, like some sort of education in law. So I have an idea of what's necessary. I told them everything. I've even got a physical piece of paper that says they've messed up my blood test that was written by a doctor. And they passed it on to somebody else. They went, yeah, this is going to be a case. And then the person called me up and said, look, it's against the department. We can't. We have to find an individual to sue. We can't sue a hospital. So great. Thanks. That's 3 years of my life, but fine, don't worry about it. So, the wonderful.
Because that makes sense. Yeah, because that makes sense.
Mm.
That makes sense.
I got the ombudsman involved and stuff, but they said because there is a possibility of a legal case, believe it or not, they weren't willing to do anything about it. So, I've had a fun time.
We can't get the right people. Clearly, can't get the right people to sort that out.
So here's a
And
smaller
yes, it is total bullshit.
Yeah, here's a smaller one that's happened to me. So for people who don't know, following the knee incident, I was on the floor for 3.5 hours before the ambulance turned up to relocate it. That isn't anything wrong with the local area as such. We're a very touristic area, and it was the height of tourist season. And unfortunately, we have mountains, and tourists think it's a good idea to go up in mountains in shorts and flip-flops.
Yeah.
It might be the
Yeah,
mountain I've ever seen in my life, but you know, I'm nothing compared
that's
to what
logical.
Mark's seen, because he lives in Scotland, and they'd look at you know, the biggest mountain near us, and you'd probably just go, "That's a hill." But ignoring that, like they will go up. Do you know what? I'm going to say the name of the mountain. I know it locates us a bit, but it's important. The mountain's called Snowdon because, funnily enough, it snowed on.
Yes.
Even during the height of summer, there is snow on it.
Yes.
And you'll still see
I know
idiots.
Snowden, but that's genuinely the reason for the name behind it.
There is idiots who'll go up with shorts and flip-flops and think they can go up the mountain and they'll be perfectly fine. So there is an issue, which is why I was on the floor for 3.5 hours. Subsequently, that blocked a blood vessel in my leg, which formed a clot, and I had a DVT.
Sorry for the noises. That just makes me. I can just feel it as you mention it. I can feel it.
Because that's the lasting effect as such. Because I've got a huge mark there and stuff. It's horrible. But yeah, I found out I had a DVT. Basically, I had a routine GP appointment to have an injection that I have to have, and I said, "Oh, while I'm here, the back of my leg's hurting a bit. Do you mind having a look?" And he sent me to hospital. So. Yay! Went to the DVT clinic. They said they think it's only something called phlebesis, which is a clot, but it's on the outside of a vein. It's not really that much of an issue. And I need to go for a CT scan. Went to the CT scan, and I physically can see my leg on this screen. And they explained to me what I'm seeing. It's really weird if you've ever seen blood on a CT, by the way. You can see the blood vessel, and you can see all this red and blue and purple sort of plasma going through it. And that's the blood. It's really weird to see. And you can see there was 3 blood vessels on this thing, 2 of which had this blood going through it, and 1 of which just was grey. It just had nothing. And they turned around and said, yeah, you've got a DVT. Here comes the stupidity of the hospital. So I go, right, okay, I'll have to deal with that, and they send me back to the DVT clinic. So I've sat with my parents who go, what are we going to do? Okay, we've got to bear in mind this is going to be a life-changing thing. It could kill me. We need to, you know, get in the right headset for what I'm about to hear. So get into this headset, we walk into the place, and we sit down, and they go, right, so you don't have a DVT. And I go, what? Say, no, you don't have a DVT, don't worry about it. And I said, but I physically saw on a screen that I had a blood vessel that had no blood going through it.
Obviously, the equipment is crap.
No, I did have a DVT.
You did?
Yeah, they said, no, you don't have one. I said, but I saw that. They went, do you know what, we'll call them to be sure. And they get on the phone, and I go to him and go, oh, she does have a DVT. So if I wasn't adamant... So yeah, I'm now on blood thinners and stuff for the rest of my life. Fun times. it's fine. I've
I would
the
ask. I would
BBC's fine.
ask.
I'm okay.
I would ask like how much medication you're on, but I think we would be here all day if you were trying to list them all.
No, not as much as
Yeah,
you
she
think
must
I
she must rattle when she walks.
I have this lovely pot. That's to begin with. Every now and
One.
then I have to take one of these.
There's 2.
And then where's my box?
Box.
Yeah.
Oh my.
This isn't one medication, by the way. It's 2. Some on them,
4.
them, and these.
So 5 forms of medication.
Well, that one is kind of a cop out. It's Rennie. I sometimes get heartburn, but no, that is essentially it. That is my one of these.
It's still quite a fair bit of medication that you're on, though.
No.
Yeah.
These aren't prescribed. These are magnesium citrate.
Oh, fair enough.
Because I'm on blood thinners, this is a Pixabam. I get cramp, and if you've ever had cramp, you haven't had cramp. Like, I thought I knew what cramp was. You know, like when your toe goes a bit weird and you go, "Oh, that's a bit painful. I better walk it off." No, proper cramp is the most painful experience of my bloody life.
I've had a stomach cramp. I've had a really bad stomach cramp that lasted a day, so I know what.
No, it wouldn't last
No?
a day. No, it is just. I woke up in the middle of the night and I literally screamed, and my parents ran in, and I was like,
Okay, so that's okay.
the back of
Fair
my
enough.
leg was doing that, and it was just yeah. So these things do help my cramps. I don't get them anymore with these. The only problem is, I think I need to do context because it's a camera. Obviously, you can see the size of that tablet. And then this here is magnesium citrate. That is horrible to swallow. I hate it.
Yeah, that looks more like the size of the ones that go in the other way.
Maybe I've been taking them wrong all this time. But no, I'm fine. There's some epic nails, Evie. Yeah, because I haven't painted them properly in ages. Yeah, cheers for pointing that out, Squid. Thanks. The morning regimen my pill party. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Visions of you getting up in the morning with the sleepy hair and going down, having breakfast, making a big smoothie and just pouring all these pills into it with a blender.
All of these are just take so many per day. They're not necessarily what time of day, so it's just whenever's convenient. So it's like, it's not a problem. I mean, technically, I'm not taking these when I should, but they're fine. It's only the medication that can save my life, but don't worry about it.
It sounds like you'd fit right in with the doctors at that hospital, so you would, yeah.
Yeah,
not a big deal.
It's just what the hospital told me to do, surely. It's fine. They'd believe me as well, that's the problem. Oh, why do all our conversations? It started on Banksy, and somehow we've gotten to
because we went from
practice and medication.
Well, because Banksy, when we were talking about Banksy, he was talking about masks, medical masks, and then we were talking about like how
you don't have to we were all here. I'm just saying it always spirals out to a different thing.
Yeah, but the point I was trying to make was that they're not just going off on a different tangent. It's just going on a different topic. They're still the same thing. It's all medical.
Okay, just don't. Why'd you have to call me out like that? It's not fair.
Because it's us.
So going back to Banksy, for those who don't know, yes, they have washed off all of Banksy's artwork. I love this because we've heard multiple reasons as to why they did it, but I love this one. This one comment that BBC News put up saying, "Banksy tube graffiti, cleaners unaware it was by artists, therefore cleaned it off."
I mean, let's be honest. Would they have kept it on there even if they knew it was Banksy?
It's an obvious. It's not the fact that the fact that Banksy has written his name is the first one, but we'll ignore that. It's not so much as that; it's the fact that it just sounds like a stupid excuse.
It really does, doesn't it?
It just sounds like.
And again, do you remember that?
No.
Remember that woman that tried to clean the picture of Jesus and then paint it back in? I mean,
oh my god!
You can never account for other people's stupidity, I guess.
Yeah, it came out. It ended up turning into a meme as well.
Oh, yeah, it looked like a Teletubby or something.
It's beautiful.
It looked like a really horrifying looking Teletubby. It's like the Teletubby's long distant cousin.
It was amazing.
Whoa, it's like
Nightmare fuel.
Yeah, it's nightmare fuel. I was gonna say. But the thing is, this picture got so famous to the point where it got turned into a goddamn meme for a bit.
It's just so great.
And I can't remember what the meme was called.
From that to that.
So bad.
Apparently she was cleaning the photo and then it just started going. Like, don't clean an actual photo, just put a frame over it and clean the frame, you stupid. But anyway, she was cleaning the photo, it turned into that, so she decided she would just fill in the gaps.
Fill in the gaps.
Heaven's going, oh god, I thought crucifixion was bad, but this.
Yeah.
I'm a meme.
But speaking of that, I know it's kind of off topic, but like I'm going to bring racism into this. It's been really interesting. I've been watching a few things recently, especially obviously with the Black Lives stuff. I'm seeing a lot more of it. But like I saw something recently. Someone sat there and said, "You do realize that Jesus was black, right? Like he was from Jerusalem, and like why is it that every church we go into shows him as a white man? And God is white." And like I heard this black guy saying, "My kids asked me the other day, why aren't there any black angels and stuff like." It's such a stupid thing. Why did they change? If Jesus Christ was alive and was a real person, which, by the way, there is some evidence supporting the fact that he did exist, not necessarily that he did everything that he did, but that he did exist, he would have been black. He was in Jerusalem.
He's never seen the film Dogma?
No.
Right, so the Kevin Smith film, Clerks, All of You Askew, Jane, Silent Bob, those ones, he's got one called Dogma, where Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are a pair of angels. And Chris Rock is the 13th apostle, and he meets Jane Silent Bob. Yeah, he's like, they left me out because I was black, and that's his whole thing. He's like, Jesus was a black dude. I'm trying to get better representation into the Bible. It's a brilliant movie. It's a great movie. But if you're Catholic in any way, it's but it's a brilliant movie.
I don't get it, because in Christianity, apart from one book, the Book of Mormon, it doesn't specifically state that there's something wrong with black people. It does in the Book of Mormon. I do apologize. Because apparently when Jesus was in America, I don't know the full thing, I'm not going to misdo this, and he was fighting for the two tribes. The tribe that lost, they had the sin of having their skin turned black as a warning for others.
Wow!
Whoa!
Wow!
Yeah. This is I'm like paraphrasing massively, but I can probably find it.
But whilst you're looking for that, there has been like one film, or like there's been like two films that's like part of the set. What was it? The Bruce Almighty and Evan Almighty.
Yep.
God in that was black.
Yeah, it was Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, Morgan Freeman played as God.
Yeah, and he was probably the best God we ever saw.
Yeah.
I sent you a picture in the Discord, and that's from Dogma.
Whoopi Goldberg is black in the Muppets. Oh, that's from Dogma, is it? I've seen that picture loads of times.
Yeah, it's George Carlin's like an archbishop, and he's trying to relaunch Jesus to be cool. That's what he comes up with. I've got one on my desk. My sister-in-law bought me one. Yeah,
the thing is, with that specific image, they always seem to... people seem to have a habit of, like, editing a gun in his hand, because the hand that he's pointing with does look like he's holding an imaginary gun. Or miming holding a gun.
It does.
It's actually kind of bad.
My kids ask me why I've got Jesus on my desk, and it's kind of hard to explain to them.
Dogma?
Yeah. I've had this entire...
Because Dogma? Isn't it obvious? It's from Dogma.
I had the phrase out on my other computer the other day. Can't find it now, but yeah, it says it in the Book of Mormon. But the reason I was going for it was the fact that it never... I mean, as well, we have to also mention the Book of Mormon, it was only around since the 1800s. Like, it's not... Or 1600s, or... It's only a few hundred years old. It's not like the Bible, which has been around for, a millennia. But why is it that in the two original books, the Old Testament and New Testament, it never mentioned any hatred towards black people, yet all churches and stuff? I mean, obviously it's westernized culture and it's this whole thing, but why is it we've had to, in religion so much, just separate black people out of religion? It just doesn't seem to make sense to me whatsoever.
People are silly. Because people are fairly silly. States, that's why.
I mean, it comes beautifully into, especially since I talked about Native Americans, something that Mark, because basically, for those who don't know, when we get ready for the show, there's about a few days where we're all messaging each other of ideas of what we're going to do as a main topic. And Mark did mention another topic that we would possibly talk about, which was the Washington Redskins. And
Yeah.
obviously, I mean, the idea that they call themselves Redskin is the first obvious marker of being racist. But they are actually changing their name due to the racial stereotype. But that must have only come forward because of Black Lives Matter, because the guy said he would never change it.
Yeah, Black Lives Matter has put pressure,
pushed it, probably.
put public pressure on the companies that were sponsors, and the sponsors have put pressure on the teams and the NFL as a result. It's all money, which is terrible. It's the terrible reason behind it, but
The thing is, what they would do.
something's getting done, so maybe we have to take the progress, take the good with the bad.
Yeah, but haven't they been weren't they discussing it for years before that? Like how they were going to change the name.
No,
people
were pushing against it, but he openly said, the person who runs the team said, "I will never change the name. It is always going to be the Washington Redskins. That's just it. That's the end."
Didn't they also have another sports team that was called something Indians or something like that? And it had a sort of stereotypical looking Native American.
That's Washington Redskins.
Is it the Washington Redskins?
Yeah, as a stereotypical Native American as their sort of mascot photo logo thing.
Like a cartoony looking one.
Yeah. I was actually reading about that logo. It was a Native American that designed it.
Oh, now I don't know where I stand. Oh,
I know, it's good.
Wait, really? A Native
American that designed it. I had his name up a second ago.
Jesus Christ.
Developed in 1971, the team's logo is based on a composite of Native American photographs, including one of the early 20th century Blackfeet chiefs, 2 guns, white calf. So a Native American designed it, and it's based on a Native American chief. It always really bothered me because of his association. His name has been so associated with a racial slur.
I mean,
but yeah, it's
you're still targeting the name of the team to the color of someone's skin.
One of the interesting ones I've seen is one of the suggestions for changing the name is the Red Tails, which has been polled with fans, and it's actually the name of the first black military pilot division, which I think is close enough to the Redskins that they can kind of say it's keeping some of the history, but it's, at the same time, it's
Washington
possibly promoting something
We're
later.
talking about the Northern American states, not the Confederate states. We're talking about the places that were a little more okay. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a huge history, and we're not going to say they are okay, but a little more okay with racial diversity. So yeah, I guess it makes sense for them to sort of have some sort of connection. I wouldn't see Texas doing the same, for example, is what I'm trying to say.
No. It just seems nuts that by this point they've had a black president previously who'd lasted 2 terms, and then we're still going back into this. It's like...
I just read something that Squid said, Europeans learning about American football for the first time colorized 2020.
I mean, it doesn't help that the 2 people who seem to be in chat are Reese and Squid, who are both American, and we're talking about American things, and all we know is that, we taxed your tea. That's
yeah.
I think all you need to know is American football is like rugby, but not as good.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm right in saying that.
Sure that won't cause any issues, yeah. That's fine. It's true.
I only say that because it's one of the few sports that Scotland are good at.
And that's
rugby
also
and drinking.
A big debate, because the Welsh would tell you that rugby was invented in Wales, yet the English would tell you it was invented in Rugby, the town called Rugby. I don't know. It confuses me. Basically, someone picked up a ball, someone got angry and hit somebody, and that turned into rugby. That's all you need to know.
That sounds like Wales.
Yeah, probably.
Or as I and a few other people like to call it, hand egg.
Like, my cat's decided to settle on my bed.
Oh.
Oh, bless.
I was just looking over because I could hear his bell going. I was like, does he need to go out? Does he need to know he's just settling? Okay. That's why I kept looking like that, by the way. I was looking for him. Is drinking a sport now? I mean, oh, for God's sakes. Jesus Christ. It's going to be a whole stream of this now, isn't it?
I'm sorry.
No, I love it. It's great.
It's like the new it's like the bee thing. It's like the bee.
Oh my god!
This is the new
Right.
bee. It's Mark meowing in the
Right,
background.
that's it. We've got the name of the episode. Mark, the man of many faces. That'll be many faces. You take the watch because you have many faces. All right. Well, it's been nearly an hour on this topic, even though we've gone into every other topic around the topic.
Yeah.
Usually, by this point, we like to have our guest have a topic of conversation they want to talk about. So, Mark, what would you like us to talk about?
Shoot.
I have been, well, before stream we were talking, and we're talking about how we've got all of this network equipment and so many shows downloaded, and you're talking about downloading albums, and
I've got my
there
little
is
HTPC
so much.
for when I move out to watch all that stuff.
Cute wee Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
There is so much content out there for us at the moment between Netflix and Plex and Amazon, and then you've got games to play, you've got books to read, you've got podcasts like this, which everyone had better get and listen to.
Wow. There we go.
But
That's now the trailer for this podcast, by the way.
There's so much content out there. Do you guys ever feel burnt out on it? Or, I'll say for me, and one of the authors that I read just released his book the other day, and I must admit I sat and binged the whole thing. But while I was doing it, I'd also had Star Trek Discovery on in the background. I'm halfway through playing half a dozen games between the PC, the PlayStation 4, the Xbox. The kids are constantly watching stuff. It just feels overwhelming, the amount of stuff that's there, and I almost feel that if I start a series, I've got an obligation to keep going with it. I feel like I've got this weight, this tsunami of content that I should be trying to get my way through. And at the end of the day, this stuff's supposed to be entertainment. Do you guys ever feel that there is just too much for you to wade through? Am I stretching myself too far?
No,
Or is it that there is just too much available?
We are I know you. I'm trying not to say this, but I know you're a little older, Mark. But you don't worry, you are still speaking to the right generation, because I remember having only 4 television channels and watching everything on VHS.
Oh, you're aging yourself there.
Yeah, 4 television channels. If you had Channel 5, you were a special household.
Do you remember the launch of Channel 5 for the Spice Girls?
No,
I still know the tune.
No, I don't think. I probably was around that time, but I was probably far too young to remember. I just remember that I couldn't get Channel 5, but if I went to my grandma's house, I could.
Yeah.
So, and my grandma only lived down the road, by the way, at the time. So don't know. She just had special TV. We don't know. She was special. But
Special snowflake.
I am not a consumer of a lot of media. I'm quite bad for that, weirdly. My hobbies usually involve me working on my computer, building little computers and stuff like that. So a lot of times I disassociate myself a lot from media, and then I'll end up going to work and someone will say, "Hey, did you watch Game of Thrones?" for example, as a brilliant example. And I'll say, "Look, I've never watched an episode and probably never will." But there are the odd programs and things that I follow. Star Trek Discovery, like you said, is one of them. I do religiously watch Discovery.
Watch that, actually.
It's a shame about Star Trek Picard. We won't go into that one. It was all right, but wasn't.
But no, wait. Go into that one, because I've only just started it. Should I continue?
The last couple of episodes are absolutely fantastic, but I think everybody went into it thinking that, Picard's in this. Bloody Patrick Stewart has said yes to this show, and we love Star Trek and we love what he did in Next Generation. This is going to be a new Next Generation, and it's not. And it's barely what you would really associate with Star Trek typically.
Yeah, he seems about 100 years old in it. It doesn't feel the same. Discovery was good.
That goes away at the age sort of bracket with him, but it's just a story that isn't your typical, hey, let's all get in a spaceship and see if we bump into aliens along the way, which Next Generation was. It's just I remember turning around to Huel and saying it's weird that the Orville is more like Star Trek now than Star Trek.
Orville is brilliant.
Yeah, but it's more like Star Trek.
Yeah, it manages to mash the kind of sci-fi and some of the political and the social commentary side brilliantly together with the comedy.
We've actually mentioned that in this podcast, that the Orville is weirdly very politically minded and actually mentions things like gender identity, religion, sexuality. That's all on it, but because they're using aliens, they get away with it without having someone outcry for no reason whatsoever, which happens in every show. If you turn one character gay, there's about 1 million emails that come through that say, "How dare you do that?" That's every show at the moment, and it's ridiculous. So the Orville gets around it by using aliens instead of So, and it's interesting as well that they haven't, although they are showing sort of a leftist attitude, and Seth MacFarlane is fairly lefty, even though he can be quite controversial with Family Guy and American Dad. He hasn't actually gone all the way with that. So, obviously, me being transgender, one of the most interesting episodes for me was Bortus, who is a Mockland, and in Mockland it's a single-sex race. They're all men, and they produce asexually, and that's how they go and carry on with their life. However, they give birth to a female, and then they suddenly realise there is this strange little world of female Mocklands that are all hidden underground and stuff. In fact, one of the best authors of Mockland was a female who had to use a male name to cover that she was female, which is actually the reason J.K. Rowling called herself J.K. Rowling in the books, by the way, so people didn't realise she was a female author, if you didn't know. But they had this huge decision on whether or not they actually give the child a sex change so that it grows up a male. And you see this episode, you see this dilemma that goes through, and you're sitting there, I'm sure as every viewer, and going, well, no, surely that's the child's decision when they go later on in life and that kind of stuff. And weirdly, that didn't win. And I thought that was quite interesting. They actually did end up giving the child the sex change, despite Bortus sitting there saying, I do not agree with this is wrong. I thought it was interesting for them to actually go down that route with the show, that instead of going for what the audience were perhaps rooting for, actually going, no, we're going to go in a different route. We're going to allow the wrong to win for a change and see how people take it. Just
No, that was interesting, because a lot of these shows you expect the happy ending, so it's probably it's probably, I don't want to say braver, that's not the right thing, it's probably the more adventurous thing for the writers to do, is to show the unhappy ending. But then there's probably still a lot of people out there who could kind of relate to it. You want the best for your kids, but it's hard to always say what that is, because they're kids at that point. They need to go through this episode of them being kids before they get to make their own decisions.
You're a father, and like at that point, obviously, if we said, I know they live on the spaceship, but say they moved back to Mockland and the child went to school as a female, surely that child would be bullied implicitly. And if you knew you had some point to ensure that child wasn't bullied, I'm sure you would have done it. But then it's the moral dilemma and whether it's the right thing to do. But I'm guessing that's what.
And I like the way that's what you see between the two parents as well. There's Bortus, I can't remember the other guy is. But I do like the way that you see the argument presented from both sides there as well. It's not just a nice wee, because if that was Star Trek, you probably would get a wee bit of a moral message and the happy ending.
So,
I like how we went from the start of this topic to whether we're being overwhelmed by like media and all that, which I do agree that there's points where I do actually get a little fed up of just watching certain shows, or just having like a list of stuff that I want to watch, because I've got a list in my head of what I want to watch at the moment. I mean, it's mostly
to find something to watch to go to bed with. I've been watching reruns of South Park.
That's the thing. Me watching because I usually watch anime. I used to watch a load of shows on Netflix, but it got to that point where
You've watched everything on Netflix that you want.
I feel like I watched everything that's in my interest to the point where I'm just picking out things that I could like, but that end up like hating. But at the moment, since I've been like on furlough from work, due to me having asthma and being a high-risk case, I've mostly been just watching YouTube videos. Every now and then I will actually just go back to old series that YouTube has made. But mostly at the moment I've been watching a lot of anime. And that is like one of the things that have been keeping me up early hours of the morning.
Like, do you feel like you've been watching too much now? You've had so much spare time on your hands? Because I haven't had that issue personally. I've been going to work and Luke hasn't.
Personally, I feel like considering I've had so much free time, most of my free time has gone into either gaming, which is mostly me playing Minecraft every now and then, or just finding other games. Like, for instance, like I ended up getting a Switch Lite at one point because I felt like I was getting like fed up of just playing PC games and just moved on to the Switch for a bit. To occasionally just watching nothing but YouTube, and then moving on to watching nothing but just movies or anime or whatnot. it does get to the point where I want to just, step away from my PC, and I have actually done that to the point where I just sort of just get up and just leave my PC for like a few hours or a day, which is a little rare for me since I've been on the furlough. But there have been points where I've just been fed up of just being on social media, on any other form of media, because I don't watch TV. Everything I've watched is online.
I
It's never on TV.
I had a debate yesterday because I'm moving into my own place in about 2 to 3 months' time. Basically, end of October, start of November, I'm moving out. And I had a debate telling people that I'm not going to get a TV license, which, by the way, for you Americans, we have a license to watch television. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, what that stops us doing is if I don't have a TV license, I can't watch live television, and I can't watch BBCi because TV license directly pays BBC, which is their digital on-demand service. But I can watch every other digital on-demand service as long as it's not got a live broadcast currently on it, which I don't watch live broadcasts. I work. My typical work time is between 2 p.m. and 10 p.m., which, by the way, if there's any decent programs on, are during those times. So I come home and I watch something on demand if I wanted to watch something that was on television. And that is legal for me to do without a TV license. Under this house, I still have a TV license because my parents have one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know, it is WTF. Really, really is quit. But yeah, that's the debate. Like she was saying, you consume content online, you watch shows that have been pre-recorded. I mean, the majority of things I watch is YouTube and Rooster Teeth. The reason I'm separating them is I do have a Rooster Teeth account. I watch Rooster Teeth on them. That's what I watch majoritively, and that's something that I know, especially since the majority of stuff's American, I do not need a TV license for. So live broadcast is a dying industry. I suppose it's still quite popular in Britain. We still have event television as such, so people will come out in droves to watch the finals of Britain's Got Talent or The Voice, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
By the way, our X Factor is now called The Voice. That's the easiest way to put it.
I think America's got The Voice already.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah, I think they.
We
had it first, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had it first.
We started Pop Idol, which turned to American Idol. So.
Oof. Hearsay.
Oh God.
What, Pop Idol?
Pop Idol.
That was a 90s treat. There you go.
Yeah. I kind of remember that. I actually remember that briefly from my childhood. Like, my parents would occasionally put that on just to listen to some music that was going on there. I remember that. God.
You say it's probably because we all have the same TV. So, yeah, as it's true that, when myself and Luke and Mark were growing up, we had 4 to 5 TV channels. It is now standard that you would have 200 to 300 TV channels on every television, even if you don't have a subscription service. We have something called Freeview, where as long as you buy the box, as it was back then, a lot of times now it's installed into the TV, we get 200 to 300 channels. So it's not a matter of us all having the same TV channels as such. We all do watch different television. It's just those are things that have become a bit of a staple in Britain.
A lot of those 300 are garbage,
Yeah.
You get Dave, which I think is nothing but 90s Top Gear reruns and stuff like that, so they're not all quality channels.
No, Gold's alright at times, and all the
Air
UK
Track.
stuff. Yeah,
Only Fools and Horses occasionally being played on Gold.
Yeah. And
That's quality.
And all the episodes they're now
That's an oldie goldie though. That's an old but goldie.
Dave Gorman on Dave. He's the only. It's the only channel he goes on. I like Dave Gorman. I'm just saying. Top Gear. You like Top Gear? I don't know if that's got to be a topic in itself. Top Gear. Jesus Christ Almighty.
I don't watch it.
Yeah,
never taken an interest in it.
No, ignore that. You know the controversy around it. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll just stay. But going back into Mark's original topic, I don't feel burned out because I don't consume that much media. I do sometimes sit there and go, "Gosh, I wish I'd finished this video game." So, like, I started We Happy Few recently, but you get to that mission where you're just like, and you just hit a brick wall because you can't be bothered going through that mission. That's what's happened, and it's not even that far into the game. I've just gotten to that point. But I do sometimes look through my Steam library and go, "Oh, I should really carry on with that." It was a half decent game. But other than that, that's the only time I really sit there and think, "Oh, I should go back into it." And I do feel like I'm not giving this game the service it deserves as such, I suppose. But other than that, I don't. I have an Amazon Prime account. I have a Disney Plus account. That's only for this week because it's a free trial, and I have a week off work, so I thought I'd just watch Disney Plus. And I have a BritBox account. I have BritBox and Amazon Prime because I get them for free with my EE mobile. That's the only reason I do it. Other than that, I wouldn't really be watching them. And Amazon Prime, all I'm doing is watching endless episodes of South Park. So, yeah, that's my TV intake. I don't intake.
American Gods. American Gods is on Amazon. That was brilliant.
Probably won't.
I've not watched that. The only thing I've watched on Amazon Prime when I got like a 30-day trial was I watched I watched that show about like superheroes. I've forgotten what it's called. It had
Boys.
The Boys. That's it. I've watched that.
That was good.
And what was the other one? Ryan something.
Jack Ryan.
Jack Ryan. That's it. I watched the first season of that, and then I got a bit through season 2, and then I was like, nah, I can't be asked.
See, I clearly watched too much.
Yeah. No, this is a you problem without a doubt.
Oh well.
But the thing is, it's literally got to that point where I've been watching so much recently because of my time off and whatnot. I've actually considered rereading through my entire graphic novel series of Scott Pilgrim. I'm actually considering rereading through all that.
I've done that. They were good.
It's such a good graphic novel. That set of graphic novels though. They're so quirky in their own way.
I'm so stupid. My ex was going to buy that for Christmas for me, and I broke up with her before Christmas.
I'm sure waited after Christmas.
I'm sure you could probably still. Say again, Mark.
You should have waited till after Christmas.
I know, right? I'm just.
Actually, the movie that was actually not bad as well. They did quite a good job, I thought.
I know that the movie's weird because Ramona isn't like Ramona.
Yeah, they've definitely taken some liberties with it, but I quite liked it.
I do like.
I liked it because it was not only because it was because it was Scott Pilgrim, but also it was like really cleverly directed by Edgar Wright, and they did a really good job of jumping from scene to scene on certain things. Like it didn't just stop and then next scene. It's like one scene flowed into another.
Yeah.
Literally, and this was all the way through.
It's on my media library. Be proud.
Yay!
I am proud. The thing is, it's just the way that the movie flowed as well that I liked about it, because it was just constant. It didn't stop and start like most films would do, where it's like.
Issue is if you have somebody in your family who takes things way too seriously. Introducing my brother, who said he just didn't get Scott Pilgrim. He didn't understand why he was fighting people. And I was like, it's a comic turned into a film. Graphic novel, sorry, I've upset everybody.
No, there was a point where I used to call it a comic, but then I realised it was graphic novel, so...
It's meant to have that sort of look and feel to it, and if anything, it makes it better because of it, in my opinion. It's one of my favourite films.
Yeah, it's stand out because of it.
Yeah. But then you have my brother who just goes, well, it just doesn't make sense. Why would you have to defeat exes in order to be with her and stuff? It's like, because it's life overly complicated and made into a cartoon. It's supposed to be over the top and I
just had one line from that film that sticks out in my mind because I remember almost I was almost on the floor laughing at it, and it was so silly. But there was a point where try not to do spoilers just in case no one's actually seen it and wants to see it. But there's a point where Ramona asks Scott, who is that? Who is that girl? Because they see Scott Pilgrim's ex before Ramona, and then there's a little scene where there's a little moment where a dial in his head it just goes starts to spin, and then there's just points in between who her. I gotta go pee, and then suddenly it's like I gotta go pee on her. I mean, I gotta pee on her. I mean, I have to pee. Pee time.
Jesus, such a good little thing. But it's interesting, Reese's comment, why do you think Netflix changed its options in the UK versus US? And this is something I want to argue about because I don't have a Netflix account. I'm not a Netflix kind of person. I only really subscribe to Netflix when two shows that I want to watch are on, which are RuPaul's Drag Race and Star Trek Discovery. So I only really sign up to it when those are on, and then get rid of them afterwards, which is the perfect time period for me between of, hey, there's all this stuff I can watch now, and I've run out of stuff I want to watch. So it always works out nicely for me. But ignoring that, YouTube has done it. There's a channel that I absolutely adore. I'm not a history buff, so if you're not a history buff, I still recommend this. It's a channel called Oversimplified, where they oversimplify history in a comedic way. And it is beautiful, and I recommend it to anyone. However, if you are in Britain, there is an episode of it you have never seen. I don't know if you know. If you open up a VPN, turn it on, there's an entire video about Hitler and Hitler's history, which is so interesting and wonderful, and I love it. But for some reason, it's banned in the UK, and I still can't figure out why. There's no point of it where they actually have a go at the UK in that entire episode.
Oh, fair enough. Then when you said Hitler, I was like, I can start to see why, but
the only time they mentioned it was there was this see, Oversimplified's taught me. There was this British soldier who came face to face with Hitler in World War One and was able to shoot him, but doing what happened a lot in the war, where you could see someone was weak and vulnerable, they let him run, they let him go away with it. So he basically had a chance to kill Hitler before World War II and didn't do it. Obviously, he didn't know who he was going to turn into, but he mentioned that in the video, and I think that's the only point he really mentions the UK. And I don't know if it's whether them sitting there thinking, well, the British didn't shoot Hitler when they had a chance, was the argument. I don't know.
It's like 100 time travelers somewhere in the future yelling at this guy now.
Yeah, I know, right? Pull the trigger, but he's got nobody around him. The Germans have all gone. He's by himself. No, shoot him! He's scared. I don't want to call it.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. I didn't know there was individual episodes and stuff that get pulled out. I know overall the library is different between Britain, America, and all kinds of different bits of Europe, but it's just licensed and stuff, isn't it?
It's just generally banned in the UK unless you use a VPN. So I've watched it on a VPN. Look that up now. It's such a good episode. It's worth watching. It's quite funny. But yeah, I don't understand why, but I know there is changes in Netflix between the UK and the US, and I can understand that's probably a lot to do with licensing laws more than anything else.
Yeah, it's all to do with the syndication. So if, say, Channel 4 bought the rights to show Friends for the next 5 years, then Netflix can't show it here, that kind of thing.
Yeah, sort of thing. So for example, Channel 4 is a fantastic example of this. There'd be British sitcoms, possibly things like the no, that's gone to maybe Black Books would probably be a good example. I doubt Americans have been given Black Books, which is a beautiful sitcom if you get a chance. So that won't show, but however, at the same time, you guys have got access to things like Black Mirror, the old episodes of Black Mirror, which were Channel 4 made, or have access to the IT Crowd. I know that you eventually changed it into your own thing, which didn't work, but the British IT Crowd, I know, is in America, and it's all licensing laws, and it must work the same way in America, where, I don't know, CBS makes a show that, although it's perfectly fine for British audiences to watch, it just isn't licensed that way because maybe there isn't that much of an appeal in Britain for it and they don't think they can make their money's worth out of doing so. So it's probably more than that, but I do wonder if there are things like the Hitler episode in Oversimplified that aren't put up for some sort of political reason. I don't know.
I've noticed that they've sort of done this with Doctor Who on Netflix, where they've skipped or they've taken out certain episodes, like specials or something. One of those specials that was taken out or like skipped over.
I know why this is. But you carry on.
Was the very last Christmas special with Matt Smith. That was taken out completely. That was taken out completely from the thing from last time I checked.
These were good ones.
It was a good one.
That isn't to do with Netflix, and it isn't to do with licensing. It's to do with the fact that BritBox decided to make their own section called Doctor Who, and you have to have BritBox to watch their special episodes so they can draw their audience towards it.
Oh, okay.
Again,
I'm disappointed.
I only have it because EE gave it me for free. I wouldn't have had it otherwise. I barely used it. I think I've watched one thing on it.
Yeah, I think that it was either like one or two like Christmas specials that they took out from the Doctor Who series on Netflix, and it's really annoying.
I can guarantee you
it's so annoying because they include everything from Christopher Eccleston and onwards to Capaldi.
Capaldi.
Yeah, but for some reason, I don't understand why they have to take out like one or two like Christmas specials where it kind of helps bridge episodes together. Because it literally, when you go through the series, it's like, literally the episode, the second to last episode before Matt Smith like finishes as Doctor, and then suddenly he's Capaldi. It's like anyone new watching that series who didn't know that episode existed are going to be so confused.
Yeah, but also
watching that, they're just gonna be like, wait, he's this guy, now he's that guy. How did that happen? What happened?
Do you think there's the ones they've taken out that have gone on to a different service? There's somebody out there sitting thinking, I'm just going to sit and watch all the Christmas ones.
I was just looking through it now. They do have all the Christmas specials on there. They also have every single episode ever made from the first ever Doctor Who onwards. So clearly,
don't tell me that, because I'm going to fall down that rabbit hole now.
Yeah, clearly.
I doubt they'll have every single episode, because there were certain episodes from Doctor Who that were lost in a fire and weren't recovered. They didn't have any copies of them.
Oh yeah, and they used to reuse the film as well or something, didn't they?
There's a Dalek in black and white, for example.
Yeah, they were just like... Apparently, I can't remember too far back with the Doctor Who, because I've only watched... I only remember... certain old episodes when I was like really, really young, but I started watching from Christopher Eccleston. So
yeah, I think that's what
the Daleks used. Yeah, the Daleks used to be like different colors, didn't they? Or a set of certain colors, and not just copper colored.
Wait, so
they were different colors, but if you watch some of the newer ones, I think it's a Matt Smith one.
Yeah.
In World War II.
They brought it back.
Yeah, Power Ranger Daleks. I remember them.
Yeah,
Power Ranger Daleks.
It was because they teleported in. It was like go Power Rangers.
I feel like that should be a a part of the title for this episode.
No, it's
Mark's many faces. Mark's many faces and Power Ranger Daleks.
I don't know about Dalek. I've almost got a Cyberman.
Jesus Christ!
Oh my god, that's in some way unsettling.
You know now for the last 10 minutes he's just been scrolling through looking for the next face to choose.
I'm looking at that like little robot, and it's giving me like Five Nights at Freddy's vibes with the endoskeleton.
God. It's just hard to be friends with people abroad. This is Reese, by the way. It's just hard to be friends with people abroad and not be able to watch the same shows because it's available in one country and not the other. It's with Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, all of it. I mean, it's not too difficult these days because VPNs exist, but yes.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. I don't know, like, I don't factor a lot of my life around television, so it doesn't, like, I've made perfectly clear I haven't watched Game of Thrones or any other Lost. Like, I think I watched the first series and then just gave up. All these TV trends that have been on, I've just skipped by because that's just what I like to do. I prefer to be more technologically hands-on with things rather than sitting there watching TV shows. But then I'll probably admit, video games wise, I'm a follower of series. If there's a series of video games that I enjoy, I will play every single game in the series. So as people have noticed, I've been working my way through Borderlands 3 recently because I went off it and then came back on for the DLCs.
I've yet to play the DLCs on that game.
Oh my gosh, you need to play the first one, the Moxie's heist one, because basically Jack is back.
Oh!
He's not back,
so
but it
irritating.
works well enough for it to say that. He's not back because that would be wrong for the series, but he's there. It's fine.
He sort of mentioned through...
Luke had said he'd bought a Switch Lite at the start of this, and you mentioned Paper Mario earlier on. I was thinking, I've got a Switch on my desk here, and I'm thinking, I'd love to play Paper Mario on it, and it's like, well, actually, there was one in the GameCube, so I should probably finish that first, and I'm sure there's one in the SNES, so I should probably finish that first, and suddenly I've just committed myself to like 400 hours of gameplay.
Yeah.
I think is it the SNES, or is it the Nintendo 64? I can't remember. The very first Paper Mario.
I think there's one in the SNES, but it's not graphically as good.
I'm thinking with the whole flipping pieces of paper.
I think there's
one 1,000. Was it 1,000 Doors or something?
1,000 Year Doors.
1,000 Doors. Yeah, that's GameCube.
Yeah,
and then there was Super Paper Mario on the Wii, which I've played all of it. And then there was one on the 3DS, I want to say, which was like the mixture between Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi's sort of adventures, like from adventure games from like the game, Game Boys. But the recent one,
they have got them on DS and 3DS. I have played Bowser's Inside Story. It is beautiful.
I have that. I've yet to finish that.
It's so good.
I got stuck on one bit with Bowser fight.
It looks like the N64 was the first one.
Oh, it was. I thought so. I was like,
graphics.
But yeah, the newest one is Paper Mario and the Origami King. I remember seeing the trailer for that, and I was like, yes, I am getting that. Yes. And I've actually bought it today, and I've got it downloaded, so I'm probably going to play that after the stream. I'm actually really excited now.
I do understand perhaps the sort of burnout stuff when it comes to video games, because
yes, I totally understand that as well.
The position I'm in at my workplace is above me is managers, and then there's nobody else in the same line as me. I'm above everybody else, which comes with a lot of responsibility, and it does often come with 6 days of work and working overtime. So I don't get the time to do it, and sometimes I sit there thinking, I just haven't had the time to play this, and I've always wanted to play this, and it's been so good. Like, Borderlands 3 was a weird one, because the main story is not as good as the DLC, and I struggled getting through the main story sometimes. And now I've gone back to the DLC, I'm like hooked. I'm not getting off it. I've fallen in love with it all over again.
We need to play that together at some point.
Oh gosh, yeah. Especially since, sorry, we're going into the game now. Especially since they changed it. So like when you play Borderlands 1 and 2, if you are to play multiplayer, dependent on basically whoever the host is, it's their game that you're playing. So if you go into their game and your character's level 100 and they're level 1, you're still shooting level 1 enemies. They've changed it now so that it changes dependent on whoever is playing, basically. So in my game, I am currently, I think, level 49. And I don't know, maybe Luke, because he hasn't started the DLC, might be only level 40. But if he started the game,
I'm close to something around there. By now, because I've finished, got to the end of the game.
If he joins my game, I'm seeing level 49 enemies because they rate up to me. But Luke will see level 40 enemies, and his gun will work in relation as if he was fighting a level 40 enemy, and mine will work in relation to fighting a level 49 one. So literally, if you wanted to start a DLC with me, I could play that, and we wouldn't be me being OP on your game or you being underpowered in my game. It would all balance out, and we could play it lovingly. So
that's a good system.
I will happily play the Handsome Jackpot DLC again, and I'll play it with you, Luke. I'm so happy.
Sweet, that'll be dope. That'll be dope.
Yeah.
Because I've got to the end of the game, so which when I got to that point, it's like it was the same thing for me when I got to the end of the first and the second game. Because I remember, because I've got the DLCs for the first game, I think. It's just I've not really gone through them, but it got to that point where I was so eager to get to the end of the first game. I got to it. I completed every side mission. I
haven't finished the side mission.
Got everything. And then I got to. By the time I finished the game and defeated the boss, I was like, now what? I was like, I could play the DLCs, but I've still got the second game to complete. So I was like, nah, I'll just go on to the second game.
The second will never be beaten. The second was just a beautiful masterpiece in comedy and everything. But I must admit, the first has got so many little beautiful things. I'm interested right now. I'm playing the DLC, and I know Ferret's going to get an excited face now. I haven't gotten any further because Pizza and Murky and stuff were playing Valorant, and they asked me to play. And I stopped there, and I should really investigate it. But I just went to somewhere that started its name with Yogg. So, especially with the history Borderlands has of fusing with people, I'm thinking I might bump into the Yogg's cast or some sort of reference to it. So I'm looking forward to playing it and just seeing that. But already, the references they had, the Penn and Teller reference is beautiful. And basically, for those who don't know, Teller doesn't say anything, but basically, as usual, but you have them, instead of Penn and Teller, they are Pain and Terror. And you go into an arena, you can hear them talking over a speaker while you're shooting things. It is beautiful, and they've put Penn and Teller in it, and I love Penn and Teller. They're the best magicians in the world. So,
I didn't even know there was there was a Yogg's cast thing in
I don't know if it is. I've only just gotten to that area. I haven't investigated it yet. Literally, as I got into the area,
I've not come
the name, I went to Valorant.
Which game is it?
It's
which
the
one?
DLC for the marriage between Hammerlock and Wainwright.
Oh yeah. Oh, I don't. I've not really. I've seen the DLC, but I did want to play it at some point as well, but I've not gotten around to it.
That's an interesting DLC. It's fun. It is really good, but it's very interesting. It's gone a different route that I wouldn't expect Borderlands to go. So I can give it away without giving away the ending, because it's right at the start of the DLC, essentially.
Yeah.
You go into the town to try and look for something for the wedding, and as you do, you come across a cult. As you do,
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
the main basis of the story, with
And
just like some cult of tentacles and.
the cult is based off a husband and wife who got married into the cult and created the cult around it. And you kill the husband straight away. That isn't a real big giveaway. It happens straight off the bat. And you take his ring. And unfortunately, Wainwright gets the ring and starts becoming slowly transforming and stuff. And I'm still at the point where he's transforming. I don't know if he does. Don't know if we cure it. I don't know what's going on yet. So basically, you're trying to find a way to stop him from turning into this thing to spoil Wainwright and Hammerlock's wedding, which would be a shame. Also, it's a gay wedding in a AAA video game.
Yeah.
Just saying. It's brilliant.
I still remember when the first time when I found out that Sir Hammerlock was gay, I was like, oh, yes! I was like, good for you! Good for you!
They don't make it's so interesting that not a single character has mentioned it's a gay wedding. They've just gone, it's a wedding. And they've just tried to normalize it as much as possible.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like
great.
it's like they're just trying to normalize it, like it's nothing too big.
It's fantastic. Nobody's even mentioned, oh, it's another guy. It's just like, oh no, it's him and his husband. That's it. Or groom to be, as it would. You know, that's it. Don't worry about it.
And now I need to play Borderlands 3 as well.
Yeah. It's just a shame
More playtime.
the campaign wasn't as much of a hook as you'd expect, but the DLC, I'm back.
I enjoyed the gameplay through the through Borderlands 3. Like the main story I liked. Some of the side missions weren't as enjoyable as like the first two. If anything, some of the side missions on Borderlands 3 were a little tedious, because they were literally at least from what I can remember, most of them were just go here, grab this, come back.
Yeah, and that was the issue.
And then rinse and repeat, and they did this several other times throughout the game. Because
Borderlands before 3, every single other one, apart from pre-sequel, it's still one planet. It all takes place on Pandora. It takes place on one planet. Borderlands pre-sequel took place on the moon, Elpis. I liked Borderlands pre-sequel. I know people say otherwise.
I hated it.
Shut up!
I still remember. I loved the gravity. The low gravity was great, but
the low gravity was good. But it's like I remember starting playing that with Stace, and I couldn't get hooked onto it at all. Most of the time, me and Larton were just pissing about, just shooting at things occasionally, and then he would start a duel with me, kick my ass, and then we were just all like,
"Thank you, Reese." Pre-sequel is fantastic. It is, but I also think the issue is we were playing with Huel and Larton, which Larton does have an attention. Huel doesn't have an attention span, and sometimes I feel that may have soured your experience a bit. I really do. No, I like that game.
I was playing Sea of Thieves with him.
No, he's good at Thieves because we can take the mick and Sea of Thieves. It's not an ongoing story. It's just go and do stuff. And you're supposed to be playing it with him and me, by the way. I've been invited to that game.
Yay!
Join in. But
Captain, my captain.
The issue was with 3 is that you've got all these planets. For some reason, you don't go to Elpis, and I'm still pissed off at that. But you have all these planets, and it's trying to be its own world. And because of that, you get a lot of missions which are just go and get this and bring this back, so that we can show you what the designers have done. Because these areas are so big now, because we've got multiple planets. And I feel every DLC, by the way, happens on one location. So that's probably why I've fallen in love with it again. So, Handsome Jackpot has its own planet. It's not a planet, it's a space station, but it has its own planet, has its own world to it that is just for that. And you are playing the entire story in one place. It's multiple little areas on that place, but it's still that one area. So they're making use of everything around them, and it's not so open worldy, I guess is the right word for it, as the rest of Borderlands 3. And I think that's what got me much more interesting. Did you find a secret mission that is a big Space Odyssey 2001 reference? No, I didn't, but I know pre-sequel had a reference to Mario Brothers, which is beautiful.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you go down a pipe, and it comes
Oh,
out of a
God.
Mario pipe, and you're in a Mario world. and
Yeah,
you
I
have to kill
ended up
enemies.
there, and all the
Yeah.
graphics have been replaced with the kind of
Yeah.
pixelated squares.
It's beautiful. And there's no reason to it as well. You don't get told any reason. There's no explanation. It's just Borderlands. So
Now
another
I have to
good one.
go through the pre-sequel just to find that bit.
It's towards the end, sorry.
Just watching YouTube.
Oh God! I'll probably endure it.
It is
I'll probably
towards the
endure
end.
it. I still need to play it anyway. Fair enough.
Oh, well. I love pre-sequel.
I'll be claptrap this time because then I don't have to worry about goddamn oxygen.
Well, that was I think pre-sequel was a very experimental game because they tried a lot of features which have now been put in much more in Borderlands 3.
Oh yeah,
So even
I
though
love the moon mission on Borderlands 3.
yeah,
I had so much fun with the low gravity on
it
that.
wasn't so much the low gravity because you now have a slam attack in Borderlands 3.
That
Which
yeah,
was
that too.
obviously
I
taken
had
from
so much fun with that as well.
Yeah, it was obviously
I
taken
had
from
so-
pre-sequel, but the other one was Claptrap and how he's influenced how you do your action skill now. So Claptrap's action skill is hilarious because dependent on the environment you're in, changes what he does. If there's nothing going off and you set it off with no enemies, you just get this dancing little Claptrap around you. And it's beautiful. So I absolutely adore it, but because of that now, in Borderlands 3, you can actually make your own action skill, basically. So you have a skill tree, you choose different aspects, and that creates an action skill that's unique to your character. So I always play the Siren in every single game I've ever played. Athena I played in pre-sequel because they didn't have a Siren character, but close enough. But the main Siren's the advertised thing was that she had all these fists that bang to the ground. And I liked Borderlands 2 with the phase lock, so my character literally has a phase lock. Because Borderlands 3 allows me to choose that as an option. I love that they learn from the old ones. God, this has turned into a video game conversation.
Yeah, it has.
That's all right. That's it's one of my hang-ups. That's the thing.
Mr. Body, we don't do chests here, seeing as the main outlet tends to be Twitch. But thank you for joining.
Yes, thank you.
We just have DLive because of the history that we've all had with DLive in the past.
Yep.
We said only monsters plays Claptrap.
It's beautiful though, and he is funny, and that's another thing that they kept on from pre-sequel.
I'm a messenger of chaos, Reese.
The best thing
I'm a messenger of chaos.
best thing that pre-sequel did, and they've kept it onto Borderlands 3, is dependent on which character you're playing, it depends on the conversation you hear from the NPCs. So they will. So, like for example, right at the start of pre-sequel, when you're meeting up with Handsome Jack, he'll either go, say if you're playing the Jack doppelganger, he'll go, "Hey, it's one of my clones." But if you play as Claptrap, he'll go, "Oh God, it had to be a Claptrap." And where compared to Borderlands 2, where you're just the Vault Hunter, now they've actually changed it so that the conversation's directed towards you, and I love that. It just adds to the comedy. And Claptrap was amazing. Don't lie. Everybody loved his action skill.
But not something about the guy that voiced Claptrap. Was there not a bit of controversy around that? He hadn't been paid or something?
Google!
But Epic screwed him over.
Google! To Google!
Basically. You'll find it faster than me because this laptop's slow.
Yeah, but I'm slower than you. So.
Meanwhile, I'll just...
Oh, first thing that comes up when I type in Claptrap voice actor is Claptrap voice actor fired. Has he been fired? The outspoken Gearbox CEO fired back at the original Claptrap voice actor, who last week stated that he would have returned to the role had Gearbox been willing to pay for this time. Oh. Okay, so yeah, he probably wasn't getting paid properly.
Yeah, I think he did it in the first one for Buttons just because they were looking for somebody and then they paid him a wee bit for it. And then the other ones came around and he was still getting paid just a wee bit for it. And he kind of went back and went, "Look, this has turned into $1 million series. Can I really get paid for this?" And they went, "Nah, we'll get somebody else to do it."
It's a huge, wonderful thing.
Oh.
It's great.
Oh, for pity's sake.
I love seeing the cosplayers that wear that, but they do the kind of cel shading. So they've got the proper look of the weird kind of lines down the arms and stuff.
I have 2 cosplay characters I play, but I'm desperate to do Maya. Probably the new Maya for Borderlands 3 because the longer hair and it looks a bit nicer. But yeah, I'm desperate to play Maya. But I've done, funnily enough, this is part of it. I've done Max Caulfield from Life is Strange, Jane Doe. And I've done Alice from Madness Returns with the blood splatters and everything. So, but I remember the detail I went into this, and I remember my mum turning around going, "You're going too far into this." I'm like, "No, it has to be right." I got the box art for the game, and I literally made sure the blood splatters were in the exact same place as the box art. And then I added I added little dried bits of black nail polish into it because you fight all these black sort of gooey monsters in the game, so it had all this black goo and stuff all over it. And I was quite proud of myself.
I want to see some pictures of that. Put them up on the Discord.
I do have some. I will send someone to media.
Yeah, she actually has quite a few images of her in her Alice cosplay at a game convention that she went to.
The first one I did, I had my brown hair. Second one, I was like, Alice has black hair. So I tried to dye my hair black, but it didn't turn out right, and it's green. So there is there's pictures of me with green hair with Alice. Oh.
Wow. How did it go green? I'm actually curious about that. How did it go green?
I'd never dyed my hair before, and it was a cheap. I bought semi-permanent because I didn't want to keep my hair black. I bought semi-permanent hair dye. I was at a friend's house in Stoke. Basically, went to a bathroom, did it with washing my hair in the sink. Waited a few minutes, and then went into the shower. Painted the shower, and then. It seemed fine, but the next morning it was green, and that was the day I was going as Alice, so I just had to go, well, here we go. Better get changed. But
I love aging myself here, but then you remember Grotbags the Witch?
I remember what? Sorry.
Grotbags the Witch from Roy Hull and Emu.
No idea.
Oh, God.
I didn't play
this. That's the image I've got in my head. It was a CITV show, and the witch was the baddie in it, but she has got like this horrible green perm, and that's all I can think of now.
No, it's not vibrant green. It's obvious it was meant to not be that. That was actually worse if you think about it.
Yeah.
It was obvious
it is
wrong. Here we go. Black dyes have either red, blue, or green undertones, which is why they came out as green, probably.
But why, though?
It was cheap. It was semi-permanent. I should have just put myself some proper, well-paid black permanent hair dye, and it would have grown out eventually. I should have just done that, basically. That would have made a lot more sense. But no.
That image. I don't know if you should put that in the stream just so they know what we're talking about.
Do I want to know? Oh, okay. I can't really... I've got to figure out a way to... I'll do it on my phone. So it's difficult. I can't pull things off Discord on my computer because, funnily enough, that's what's running all these
screen
squares.
capture the.
Yeah. That's how I've got you all on here, screen cap. And if I try and go away from it, it goes messed up. In fact, here you go, guys. Here's a little behind the scenes. There you go. Yeah. That's what happens if I try and change things. But yeah, Mark sent this wonderful photo. And that's what, I'd feel like I'm just going to Halloween. I wouldn't feel like I'm cosplaying necessarily there. And I felt so sorry for Huel as well because we went to EGX. By the way, there's nothing more beautiful than dressing up with Alice with the fake blood and everything. We decided because EGX used to be in Birmingham NEC, but we decided.
I went to one of them with you.
Yeah, it's good. But we went for the entire weekend the second time. Which I wish you should have come with us. It would have been great. We should do it again, but it's in London now. Still do it, but we decided we wouldn't stay around the NEC. A, because it's expensive, and B, because it means that after the convention's over or when you're done for it the day, you're stuck. There's nothing to do. So we stayed in Birmingham and then got a train and got to the NEC. But just bear in mind that meant that Alice, with all her blood and a splatter, had to walk through Birmingham train station. Dressed as that into the train for the NEC, and I was pretty much the only one there that was in costume, so it was great fun. Yeah.
I bet you got some odd looks every now and then.
Oh, it's fantastic. Do you know what? We'll end it with that, Squid. Remind me towards when it gets to 5 o'clock, and we will end it that way. I don't know how. I guess Mark can try and header us. I don't know.
you just see his character sort of just go, just like.
Yeah, there we go.
yeah.
Oh, but no, like
If only we had an emoji hand. If only you had an emoji hand, just so you could just go like that or something.
I remember telling Huel that I'm going to cosplay. I'm going to cosplay as Max, which basically isn't a cosplay in some respect. It is, because anybody who knew Life is Strange did come up to me and go, "Oh my god, you're Max from Life is Strange," and it was fine. But it's not, because it's essentially this. It's a grey jacket. Actually, it's literally this. It's a grey jacket, pink t-shirt, blue jeans. I'm not trying to cosplay as Max. I just put it on, but that proves my point. It's just the clothes you wear. It looks kind of natural. But the second time around, when I went with Alice, Huel turned around to me and he was like, "I wish I could cosplay as something. Is there anything that would work with your character?" And I went, "Well, in Alice Madness Returns, there was the psychologist, who was, the main villain in a way, trying to tell Alice to forget her past and do things in weird ways. You could always play as the psychologist." So he went through the whole of EGX in a suit, and everybody kept coming up to me and thinking he was just a friend. And I feel sorry for him. Like, I had people coming up to me asking for photos with me, and then they just said, "Oh, sorry, can you take the picture?" and gave the camera to him, and he's just like, "Part of, okay, sure." So I felt bad for him.
Oh.
But I guess it wasn't as on the nose. I get it, but still, it was meant to be. He was the psychologist, and I was Alice. I guess we wouldn't be walking around a convention together though, in that respect as well. So I don't know.
I think if he was the Mad Hatter from that game, it would probably be a bit more clear. I guess, but
should dress him like a cat, make him the Cheshire Cat.
Yeah.
Oh god. But it was supposed to be off Madness Returns. The Cheshire Cat is a thing, but it's basically, how do you dress someone up as being invisible? That would be the only way of doing Cheshire Cat from Madness Returns. Probably.
Green suit.
It just, I guess, with just a face on.
A green suit with with like a Cheshire Cat smile on your face.
That's all it would be.
Sorted. Anyone who wanted to take a picture would just have to edit out the green suit.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. So yeah, like, I know it was a last minute thing anyway. I turned around to him and I was thinking, what can you do? You can do the psychologist because everybody owns a suit. That's all you got to really do is wear a suit and glasses. So, yeah, poor him. But I think if we went back now, I'd love to like proper cosplay with like a group of people all doing the same game or something. We should cosplay as Borderlands. Like, I'll be Maya, you can be a character. Like,
I'd love to cosplay it at some point. I've always wanted to try it. I've just never really had the chance to do it.
We have only got 15 minutes left, but we have had an email through. So I will read this out quickly because I don't think I have much to say on the topic because I don't know as much about it. Obviously, yes, the Americans over there would. What is your opinion on states taking away funding from the police? Squid the Centre, he's also put afterwards, also, hi, Mum. Hi, Squid's Mum.
Hi, Squid.
Hey, Squid's Mum.
But anybody got
Hope you're doing okay in this pandemic.
Yeah. Taking away funding.
I mean,
let's be realistic. You need a police force. I think what they're trying to do is take away the police force's ability to be a force. At the end of the day, you could probably compare the American police to the British police, and it's the approach that they take. The American police has been heavily militarized over the last couple of years, and I think that's part of the problem. Saying that they're taking away the funding, it's not that you're going to have this pauper police force who can't afford to protect people. It's just they're going to redirect that in different ways. Yeah, they're just redirecting it in different ways. The police should work more hand in hand with social work or with child protection and that kind of thing. It should be more of a branched approach rather than this police force, which is very hard line. I actually saw a wee bit of a tangent, but I saw a Reddit post earlier on where it was a fireman who was in the midst of getting arrested by a policeman at a car crash because he'd parked the fire engine too far over one of the lines.
Jesus Christ.
And it turns out it's from like 5 or 6 years ago, and the two forces were constantly butting heads, and this cop was just taking the opportunity to do this, but it was in the nighttime news.
See, I've seen this in Britain, like not necessarily a force going against a force, but I saw this, there was an ambulance inside the parking lot, and basically it stopped someone from getting out of the parking lot. They parked there because someone was having a heart attack and was currently going into chest compressions when this woman came round the side of the ambulance and went, "Do you mind moving? You're in my way."
Sort of.
That's a
At
whole
that point,
level of self-centeredness.
at that point, you would just tell that person to just piss off.
Oh no, the ambulance
can
were really professional. They were like, because there was only one of them that was really on doing it, while the other one was trying to pack everything up quickly to go to the hospital. And they just went, "Sorry, we'll be out of your way in just a moment," and that was it. And I was just like, "You don't have to be professional about that. Tell him he's a cunt, please." Like,
Yeah.
she's a cunt. Sorry, like it was a woman that said that.
But sorry, I jumped the question there.
Yeah, no, we always do. But like,
Yeah.
I've seen some things about some statistics about British police and American police. We have got in Britain, it's not as prominent as America, but we do have an issue with race. There are some police officers who do racially accuse someone, because basically they've had someone come into a police station and said, I don't know, this person nicked my purse, he was black. They've decided to just pull over every black person they see, rather than if it was a white person and they'd go in and say they had brown hair. They wouldn't pull over every white person. They'd be going, right, well, that person has brown hair. That could be it. And then they'd probably question themselves a bit more before trying to. So we do have that issue. But the difference is we don't have guns held by our police officers. So we don't have that degree of them being able to kill so easily, although it has happened. But we've also got a lot more training. And the statistics I saw was we have something like a year and a half or something like that. A police officer has to go through training before they can actually be put on any sort of duty whatsoever, whether it being desk duty or actually on the street. Whereas America, apparently it's only something like 3-4 months, and they're just thrown out there. And that is really throwing somebody in the deep end of a job that is violent. It's a difficult job. I do feel for the police officers that are doing it half the time, because God, they get some shit.
Yeah.
And I think
But it doesn't help when some of those police officers are sort of going on their own way to do stuff that they feel is right when it's clearly not.
I think
it kind of makes every other police officer that's actually doing their best at their job look bad. And I've said this in the very first stream that we did.
Oh yeah, because we did Black Lives Matter on that one, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Oh yeah, there's that thing that people always say, "Oh, it's one bad apple," but somebody rightly pointed out that the full phrase is the full phrase is "one bad apple will ruin the barrel."
Yeah.
So just writing somebody off as one bad apple is actually just an excuse. They're missing out on the whole point of the saying.
This is something that's irritated me, because it's affected my life personally recently. For those who don't know, I haven't really spoken about this much on the streams. I've been doing a lot of petition work and a lot of activism work against the British government at the moment, for they are trying to stop my rights as a transgender woman from being able to use women's services, toilets, that kind of stuff. And you saying one person makes... There has never been, so far in the history of the UK, a single person who's used being transgender as a reason for committing crimes until recently. And now I feel like that's really going to throw a spanner in the works. There is somebody she's female, but she's very masculine dressed, and she was molesting other women persuading them and stuff because she was telling them she was a man. And not in a transgender way. She was saying it in order to gain advantage over these women.
No, it's not right.
Yeah.
That's not right.
I get what you mean by one person ruining it for everybody else. This is really throwing a spanner in the works, especially during quite a critical point in transgender people's lives. And it's the same thing with the Black Lives Matter at the moment. And I think that's also very important, that we're seeing so many of these police brutality videos going around, of police officers just hurting protesters because they can. And it is, again, it can't be the whole of the police force that think that way, surely not. And it is that one individual, or those several individuals who are individual, they are separate from the rest of them, who is messing up for everybody else. Because as soon as they see somebody, like that man who got knocked over and his head blood came out and he went to hospital, and the old man, as soon as they see that, they're going to go, look what the police are doing. No, look what that idiot's doing. That's what you should be saying. And we need to not defund and pull away from the police. We need to say, these are the incidents that are incorrect, and we need to move forward in a way that helps that in future. also we need to talk about the people above that who are telling them they can shoot at will, because that's also happening.
Yeah, that's also a factor that comes into all this. It's just it's the big chiefs
Yeah.
on their high horses, just looking down, pointing.
But that's it.
Basically,
in
they
America,
point
it must
that
be
you
difficult.
shoot, sort of dealio.
With the amount of guns and gun violence over there, it must be a difficult job. And if these guys are getting sent out with 3 months training, and they're going to face armed suspects, you can understand how worried they must be.
Some of which 3 months before then probably had never even held a firearm. I know they're American and it's a stereotype, but some of them probably haven't held a firearm, were given a gun in training, and now expected to go around holding one as a defense tool. I mean, again,
I'm pretty sure the armed police over here, if it gets to the point where you have shot somebody, you're kind of off the armed police.
Yeah.
And it's not you've done something bad. It's just like, this is going to make a drastic change to your life, so we're going to take you off active duty for that. You're going to get all of this therapy. We're going to change your job and not put you in that position again. So we're trying to do it for the best of the person.
I've only seen the armed police twice in my life, and they have been responding to an incident or a possible incident. So I've seen them on the London Underground when there was a terrorist threat, and I happened to be in London. Nothing happened.
Oh, yeah.
And I've seen them in Manchester. About a week after the Manchester bombings, I had to go to the hospital, and the person who bombed the bombings had parked his car outside a hospital car park. I remember going into the clinic and them all saying, "We don't know if we have to evacuate or not, so just bear that in mind." And they were holding guns at the time as well, because it was a possible terror threat. Good thing they did. Apparently, he had got bomb paraphernalia, but there was nothing set up in his car. Nothing would have gone off, but there was paraphernalia there to create bombs. So we were fine. But yeah. That's
Christ.
But I mean, compare that to America. I'm sure I can see Reese is in the chat, I can see Squits in the chat. They've probably seen so many police officers holding guns, and it's just a normal thing for them. I other than police officers, and I think I've seen a farmer hold a shotgun. I've not seen guns. They don't exist. They're not in Britain. I've seen plenty of knives, but that's because I've got a kitchen downstairs. Like, not because there's an epidemic or anything. Like. I've seen more
BB guns than actual guns, though.
Oh yeah, I've seen BB guns. Everybody's seen BB guns. I've seen paintball guns. I've seen laser guns. As in laser tag.
Not actual guns. Actually, the only gun that I've ever seen, and it was a deactivated gun. There was like no harm that it could cause. Was an M16, and that was it. It was already deactivated. Like,
I think it's different as well.
Do any harm.
Because America's got this fascination over the gun, and it's not fascination, I should say, it's constitutional rights to weaponry would be the correct term. Fascination over weapons. Like, to them, they see one and they're like, "Oh, cool, he's got the M16 or whatever." And then if we see one, we're like, "Hey, check that out! Don't see that every day, do you? What
yeah,
that is?
So what's that? I'd love a go at shooting one, but at the end of the day, I know it would be a novelty.
Yeah,
that's something I can tick off the bucket list and then move on.
You walk past a gun range and someone said, "Hey, do you want to try one?" Because Dave's there and Dave goes gun shooting. That'd be it, really. Do you want to try a bullet? Oh, go on, man. I've never tried this before. That'd be it. Like,
the only thing I actually want to try, and I know this is probably going to go off on a tangent, is axe throwing, and that's it.
Oh, I've done that. We did that recently.
That's the only thing I want to give a go.
Yeah, definitely go and do that.
Just so I could say, yeah, I did that once. But yeah, that's going off a tangent, but still. But
you do it, and then when it hits the backboard, if it doesn't go in, there's a slight chance it'll come back at you. So every time you throw one and it doesn't go in, you kind of go.
I've seen that in videos where some people have had to duck, and have had near misses of the axe just hitting them in the face or something. It is dangerous, but fortunately enough, they do have people.
I just want to point out the stereotype of the Scottish person having done the axe throwing here.
Yeah.
It wasn't a place. It was like the local supermarket. It was just
just on that side. Just go quickly through the comments while we have a couple of minutes left. Reese has put a couple of interesting things. They actively work against any attempts to get them more training, though. The police themselves are the ones that like needing almost no training. So they prefer to have the violence, is what I say. And Reese has never seen a BB gun, which is interesting.
I think part of that, though, is because there's such a low bar of entry, if you start having to pile more and more training on them, they will be concerned that they won't pass that training. So for them, it's then a job security thing. You can't afford to put this training on, or I could lose my job. And I think the unions for the police in America have got so much power that they can effectively stop that. Whereas the unions were supposed to be more workers' rights, they really have got this circle of protection around them now. It is wrong. They should have more training. Any job, you should revel in whatever training you can get. But setting that bar so low, they have to raise that initial bar. They have to make people want to be police officers again and give them a reason for doing it, and accurately recompense them for what is definitely a dangerous job. You don't want a low bar at that. You want the best people you can get. It's like teachers. You don't want the worst teachers. You want the best teachers.
As we said, exactly. And if an officer doesn't think they can pass the training necessary to keep people safe, then they're in the wrong work. Agreed with you.
Exactly.
Agreed. But I think that our BB guns look like our guns, but normal guns, but with like a red tip on it to tell you that it's a toy.
And it's made out of plastic.
The red tips in America, you have to have a red tip on it if it's a BB gun in America, whereas the ones here don't.
Oh no, we could just have the guns red. They're just red. The guns are red.
Well, that changed a couple of years back as well. If you are under 18, you can't buy one unless it's a two-tone colour. If I play Airsoft, so I've got loads of these. If you are over 18, it's not a license, but you need an exemption under the law for a reason for you buying a normal coloured one. And they shoot 6mm 0.2 gram plastic BBs.
He had that open on Google when he said it.
Go play Airsoft. It's amazing. It's so much fun. Much better than paintball.
Right, but we are at the end of the podcast. I just wanted to go through the comments quickly. And to go with Summit, Ferret, you and I need to high five.
Okay.
God, how far away is the bloody...
I don't know. Right, I'll make a sound effect. There we go. We've got a sound effect now.
The Jarheads in Futurama.
Jesus Christ. Right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. And we'll see you probably in another couple of weeks.
Yes.
And thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you, Mark. Thank you for being here.
Bye.
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 Hey, you know what time it is?
Oh yeah.
Let's just talk.
Gonna talk.
Gonna talk.
Oh yeah.
It's time.